Hi everyone, Christine Daal here from Fashion Ninja Warrior. Thank you so very much for tuning in. This is our weekly Facebook and Instagram Live. We are on episode number 66, which we are going to talk about the future of fashion and what it will look like. Hi Matab, how are you? Thanks for joining. Hi Doreen, thanks for joining. How are you? Hope everyone's having a great day. It is actually not too bad here in New York City. It's still a little chilly, but at least the sun was out and it's starting to get lighter later. Hey Kelsa, how are you? Awesome, okay, great. So many things to talk about tonight. I'm super excited to talk about this. Hi Audrey, nice to see you on. Don't forget to share this video. If you're on Facebook, you can hit the share button, which of course just remind people that they can't view it unless they're actually inside our Fearless Fashionpreneur Facebook group. If you're on Instagram, tag someone that you know that needs to watch this. It will be in our stories for 24 hours. After that, you can watch the replay up in our Facebook group, The Fearless Fashionpreneur. There is a link in the bio. So definitely go and check that out. All of our Facebook Lives are there. There's literally over 120 hours worth of information. It is crazy how much free information I give you guys. But tonight's topic is a little interesting. We're gonna talk about the future of fashion, which I wanna hear from you guys. I wanna hear what you think the future of fashion will be. Hi Lauren, how are you? Oh my gosh, so good to see you. We need to connect, girl. I wanna hear from you guys tonight on what you think the future of fashion will be. Don't forget to give me your hearts, give me your thumbs up. I see the hearts coming in. Thank you so much. Your hearts and thumbs up, it's like oxygen to me, guys. I need it, okay? So definitely chime in. Let me know your comments. Even if you're watching the replay, I go back and check the comments. So don't forget to comment even if you're watching the replay, okay? Awesome. So tonight we're going to discuss 7 trends on the horizon for fashion. We're going to talk about what is disruption and the 6 companies that are leading the way for disruption in the fashion industry. We're also going to talk about 5 changes to how our clothing is being made, how the lines between tech and fashion are starting to be blurred, and the #1 way fashion will be sold in the future, and so much more. So I'm super excited. So let's get right to it. So it's really important, in my opinion, to think about the future. Obviously, you also want to think about the past. You want to think about the present as well. But I like to think about the future and what will fashion actually look like, right? Because if you can be on the forefront of a change that's going to happen, you're going to be the one to capitalize the most, right? So it's really important, if you're a startup designer, if you're looking to do a new line, that you really, really look to what is the future of fashion. I talk to so many designers every single day that tell me their ideas, and 9 out of 10 times I hear things like, oh, I just want to do a women's ready-to-wear line. And I'm like, okay, what's gonna make your line different from every other women's ready-to-wear line? Like, there's got to be something different. There are way too many fashion lines out there. And if you don't have a differentiating factor, something that's going to make your line stand out from the rest, if you don't have a solid USP, it is very slim chances that you're going to make it. So hopefully this conversation will help start some ideas for you if you're thinking of starting a line, or even if you've already started a line, maybe it'll just get you going in the right direction, okay? Okay, so #1, let's talk about disruption, which in my opinion is going to be the future of fashion, because it's the future of every other industry that we've seen. So first, we need to actually define, what does disruption actually mean? So some people say that it's when a product, a market, an industry is actually replaced, meaning that the disruptive innovation has actually disrupted jobs, it's disrupted businesses, it's disrupted the entire industry, right? Some people even say that it's destructive to the industry. If you look up the word disruption in Webster's dictionary, it will say a break or interruption in the normal course or continuation of some activity, process, etc. I like that definition a little bit more. But to me, basically disruption just basically means taking the way a particular industry or a particular consumer habit has been done for a very long time and totally changing it, right? So let me give you a couple of examples. I think it'll be a lot better if I give you some examples. If you're having troubles hearing me, go on over to our Facebook group, The Fearless Fashionpreneur. It might be a better connection in there. So to me, great examples of this are Uber, right? Uber completely disrupted the whole taxi cab car service industry, right? Before Uber, you had to physically call a number if you wanted to get picked up, make a reservation, and have the car come and pick you up that day and that time, right? That no longer happens. You can literally walk outside your house, walk outside a store, hop on your phone, call an Uber. You don't have to worry about payment because you've already set all that up ahead of time. You hop in the car, you hop out of the car. It is the most convenient way now to get around. And if you really think about it, who ever thought we would be willing to get into a stranger's car and take a ride? Right? Like, this is just normal activity now. Like, years ago, we would teach our kids, don't ever get into a car with a stranger. Now we do this on a daily basis, okay? And it's completely normal, right? So that's a complete disruption of an industry. Same thing with Airbnb, right? They totally disrupted the whole hotel industry. Now making it possible for you to literally stay anywhere in someone's home, which also, again, whoever thought we'd stay in a strange person's home with them, possibly in some cases. That totally disrupted the hotel industry, right? Poshmark, really great example of totally disrupting the thrift store or thrift shopping industry, right? Now you can buy and sell stuff right from your phone, right from the convenience of your home. You don't need to go into a thrift store to look for something that's used, right? You can literally shop online. And then of course, the greatest example of all, Amazon, eBay, right? Totally disrupted the fashion industry by bringing everything now online. And they literally started back in 1995, guys. So they were on the forefront of online shopping and they literally created e-commerce. So those are some great examples of disruption. And obviously only Amazon, eBay were kind of in the fashion space, of course Poshmark as well. But I do think that going forward, companies that can figure out how to disrupt the fashion industry are going to be the ones that succeed the most. Some people say that there hasn't been a disruption yet to the industry in fashion. I tend to disagree with that. I do think there has been major disruptions, as we just mentioned. And there's so many changes being made right now to not only how we're buying fashion, the way fashion's being made, the way it's being sold, etc. So there's so many different things. So let's talk about 6 companies right now that are starting to at least lead the way for disruption. So can anyone take a guess? I want to hear from you guys. I'm going to give you some time. Hi, Marissa. Hi, Daisy. Can anyone take a guess at one of the 6 companies right now that is leading the way for disruption in the fashion industry? I want to hear from you guys. Name a company that you think is leading the way for disruption in the fashion industry. I'll give you a couple minutes. The comments are delayed on my end. Marissa, Stitch Fix. Okay, great. Anyone else want to take a guess? Come on, guys. I want to hear from you. There's a lot of people on. Gucci, Sherry Henry says. Okay. Everlane, Kristen Bruce says. Benny Brands, Fashion Angel Warrior. Thanks, Benny. Thank you so much. I would like to think that we're forging a new way in the fashion industry. Kristen says, yes to Stitch Fix. Okay, great. You guys are naming some good brands. I actually did not have Stitch Fix or Everlane, but I would say that they are good brands. That are leading the way for disruption. Stitch Fix kind of falls into the category of the whole subscription box method, right? Which one of the companies on my list is Amazon Prime Wardrobe, which is the whole try before you buy type of thing. I picked Amazon because obviously they're the largest, but Stitch Fix is obviously also doing it. Another company, Rent the Runway. Rent the Runway, they're not as new anymore, but if you think about it, they totally changed the way for how stuff is being bought. Now you don't even have to buy stuff. You can literally rent it, right? So whoever thought that one day we would be able to rent luxury and designer clothing for a fraction of the price, right? Thanks period panties, not to get graphic on you guys, but whoever thought there would be a day when we don't have to throw out our undies if they're stained, right? Like, this is literally what they're made for. I think they're kind of leading this disruption. Warby Parker, I think, is a great example, and I put them in this category, even though they're not totally fashion. It's eyeglasses, but it's a little bit in the fashion movement because they've taken something that was kind of not so cool and not so fashionable and turned it into something that's fashionable. And then not only that, but they've made prescription eyeglasses super cheap and super easy to get. You can literally walk into the Warby Parker store, try on glasses, order your glasses. They will contact your doctor for you to get the prescription. How easy is that? and then they will ship them to your door. And if you can't make it to a store, you can literally request to try on 5 different pairs, and they will ship you 5 pairs of glasses. You can try them on and ship them back. So that has totally changed the game on prescription eyeglasses, and I think that's pretty cool. Bonobos, I think, is also a really cool company. They literally have what they call guide shops. So they're physical locations. You cannot buy anything in the physical stores. The stores are there as just a guide to allow you to try things on that you can then purchase online. So when you go to a Bonobo store, note that you're not going to walk out with a bag that says Bonobos. You can't physically leave the store with anything. You're literally going there to try things on, and then your guide that's going to help you that day is going to purchase the things for you online and order everything online. So that's totally changing the way. I mean, whoever thought we'd go into a store just to try things on, but we're not actually allowed to buy anything. And then Adidas, Adidas is doing some pretty cool neat things, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Of course, I said knit because that's what I'm about to talk about. And so they actually tried something really cool back in 2017 called the Knit for You concept, where they literally had a pop-up store in Berlin that you could walk in, design your own sweater, get a 3D scan of your body, order it, and then it took 4 hours to have this sweater literally in the store, machine knitted, finished, washed, dried, packaged. You'd come back to the store and pick up your complete finished sweater, and it was literally a one-of-a-kind sweater. And the cost was pretty reasonable. It was 200 euros to have this done. And even though they're not continuing with this concept, I think we're gonna see a lot of this concept going forward. The idea of mass product customization. Everybody wants something custom. Everyone wants something different, right? With their name, with this, with that, with their own colors, right? So if someone can figure out a way to make this a viable, profitable business, I think it's definitely going to be a game changer as far as how we buy personalized products. So I think that's pretty interesting. So those are 6 companies that are definitely leading the way. I definitely agree with you, Kristen, on Everlane. They're kind of leading the way as far as being transparent with everything that they're doing and the process of machinery and how they're manufacturing. Yes, and you're also bringing up another topic that I'm going to get into. Parlay paired up with Adidas, and they're talking about sneakers made from recycled ocean plastics, and we're going to talk about fibers and fabrics in a minute. So now let's talk about 5 changes to how our clothing is actually being made. So can anyone take a guess? I want to hear from you guys. Hi, Denise. How are you? What's one of the changes to how our clothing is actually being made? Can anyone take a guess? Kristen kind of touched on it a little bit, one of the topics. Come on, guys, I want to hear from you. I want to make this as interactive as possible. I know the comments are a bit delayed. And Sherry Henry, I want to hear about Gucci. What do you think Gucci's doing that's disrupting the market? Because I'm not aware, so definitely let me know. I want to hear about what your thoughts are on Gucci. All right, guys, so I'll give you the first one. 3D printing. Who's heard of 3D printing? Yes? You guys have heard of it? You've seen it? You haven't seen it? Let me know in the comments below. So 3D printing, it's of course not an everyday thing, but it's definitely getting there. And I wouldn't be surprised if one day it is an everyday thing. Right now, people are able to 3D print dresses, jackets, shoes, accessories, jewelry. The one challenge is that a lot of the 3D printing really only works with non-flexible materials. And so garments can actually be a challenge for that reason, because fabrics are very flexible, that sort of thing. But people are kind of doing a workaround to that by building things out of a mesh type system where there's little pieces that are all kind of being interlocked together to form a really large piece that then can kind of mold and shape and move like fabric, right? So right now it's still a very expensive process. It's really reserved for high-end fashion designers, runway shows, things like that. But I do see the great potential as a new mass customization tool that we just talked about, right? Customizing. And people talk about it being the wave of the future, right? Being able to literally go to a hotel, not bring any clothes with you, design the clothes that you need to wear on your trip at the hotel, and literally print them out in the hotel while you're staying there. I think it could happen. I don't know. Do you guys think it could happen? Do you think 3D printing is the wave of the future? I want to hear from you. Who's heard of 3D printing? Okay, Jackie said recycled plastic into polyester, renewable fibers. Yes, we're definitely going to talk about textiles. That's definitely a change in how our clothing is being made. Okay, so the second thing I wanted to talk about is sobots, robots, and AI. So AI, for those of you who don't know, is artificial intelligence. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Okay. Artificial intelligence, and it can basically be used for anything. It can be used for trend predictions, for customer recommendations, for demand projections. Currently, right now, a lot of brands are using chatbots, virtual assistants, right? These are all forms of AI. Those are probably the most common forms of AI. I'm sure most of you probably didn't know, Amazon literally has over 100,000 robots around the world for all of their packaging and shipping operations. So if you're wondering why you can get your Prime packages in 2 days, it's probably likely due to the use of robots. And so another AI feature that's kind of coming around now is visual search. So up until now, there's only been keyword search, or keyboard, I should say, search, where if you wanted to search for a shoe or something, right, you would have to literally type in, you know, Adidas sneaker with black stripes. Now you can literally take a picture of the sneaker you want and do a visual search on the internet. And that's starting to happen in places like ASOS. So those of you who are familiar with ASOS, they are already doing this. Amazon Go, for those of you who aren't familiar with what that is, that's Amazon's new just walk out technology that they're starting to implement in grocery stores. So there are select stores across the US where you can literally walk in, you have an app on your phone, you scan your app, you grab whatever items you want off the shelf, you put them in your bag, and you literally walk out. And the scanners know what you have purchased and they automatically charge your card. This is their just walk out technology. It's the kind of whole grab and go type of technology. So I feel like that could definitely come to the fashion space very soon. And then there's a lot of machinery advancements as well, right? Tuka Tech, if you're not familiar with what that is a laser cutting machine that helps to cut down the sample making cutting time drastically. We actually got to see a Tuka Tech machine in person on our LA manufacturing tour, which was awesome. And we got to see it live, do this whole like laser cut design on fabric, which was super, super cool. And then there's sobots, right? So up until this point, for the past 30 years, there hasn't really been any kind of rapid evolvement as far as sewing and sample making goes in the in the fashion industry. And the one thing the US has always had a hard time competing on is our labor prices, right? We have minimum wage laws, we have labor laws, and so we have to pay our workers a certain wage, and that's why majority of our garment manufacturing went offshore, because it's much cheaper in other countries. So the only way around this, in my opinion, really, to fully bring back garment manufacturing into the US is to utilize sobots. And so Adidas now has actually the first fully automated sobot factory in Arkansas. They literally can produce over 800,000 t-shirts a day. That's one t-shirt in 22 seconds, which actually drives the cost down to only 33 cents to make the t-shirt, which is the cheapest in the entire world. So if you think about it, this could technically be the way that our clothing is being made, and how it's actually going to make sense to bring everything back into the US. But don't get scared about sobots and robots taking over and replacing all of our human jobs, because this Adidas factory actually employs over 400 people. So they created over 400 new jobs of people that actually have to manage these sobots and robots, right? So it might be replacing jobs as far as sample making is going, but it's also creating new jobs on the technology back end. So don't get too scared about not having any jobs available. So I think, yes, definitely for the US to do what we need to do to bring back manufacturing here, the only way to really do that is to get the labor price down, and the only way to get the labor price down is to figure out a sobot that can actually make the stuff for you. The one difficult part of having these sobots, like how they make this t-shirt, they literally have to dip the fabric into a chemical, into a solution that stiffens the fabric hard enough for the robots to be able to work with it and sew it together. And then once it's sewed together, it gets dipped into another solution that softens it back up. So the problem with using robots and sewbots in sewing and in garment making is because our fabrics are soft, right? They're drapey. It's not like putting a car together that has physical hard metal pieces that you're just bolting together, right? This is a very soft, a very drapey type of process. And so unfortunately, in order to actually make it work, they have to stiffen the fabric first. So there are some things that they have to do in order to make it work, but obviously they figured it out for t-shirts. I'm sure they're gonna figure it out for other types of garments coming in the future. Okay, the next area, which some of you have already talked about. Ah, you just left Austin. Okay, cool. I'm not in Austin, Melissa. I'm still here in New York City, but I'll be in Austin April 2nd. So the next area we're going to talk about is wearables and textiles. So some of you already mentioned it on the textile end of it. Kristen mentioned a company that makes cotton fabrics made from broken down cotton fiber. We've talked about recycled plastics and different things. There are so many different things that are now being used to make fabrics. It is crazy. They're making fabrics out of algae, out of fungi, out of cork, out of recycled cotton, recycled bottles, recycled and reclaimed wood, natural cork, leftover materials from production processes, recycled car tires, recycled thermoplastics, even car airbags. Car airbags they're literally making textiles out of. Then there's things like pineapple leaf fibers that are now being used to make a vegan leather, right? A leather alternative. There's even a tech-based company called Circular Systems that is turning food crop waste into fibers, which is then being woven into fabric. There are so many different things that fabric's being made out of, and then there's things that are being added to fabrics, right? The whole wearable technology and textile industry is growing, right? Where batteries can be infused that are charged by sunlight, and graphene coated textiles detect gases, and then there's smart sensors being added that are going to help to create these e-textiles and create all these different kinds of functional types of clothing. There's display screens that are now being woven into shirts so that you can literally wear your smartphone on your sleeve, which is crazy. Things that can detect temperature, GPS, the humidity, pressure sensors, all of these things are being incorporated into smart textiles. Researchers are also looking into other things that can be incorporated for point of care diagnostics, so medical applications, right? Checking your blood pressure, you know, your insulin shots, like all of this kind of stuff. There's even a company called Wearable X that designs yoga pants that have a woven-in technology that sends vibrations through the garment to your body to help you perfect your yoga poses. Okay, this is insane, guys. Like, this is seriously insane. So if you don't know how to do yoga, you could literally buy these Wearable X pants, put them on, and then when you go to do your warrior pose, it will buzz you. It will literally send a vibration to your leg to tell you, okay, your foot's not in the right spot, your leg's not in the right spot, you know, whatever it is, until you get into the right spot. I mean, that's crazy, guys. Come on. But this is what's happening. This is the future of fashion, right? So think about how you could use fabrications differently. What kind of materials could you make your fibers out of or recycle things from in order to make your fashion interesting, in order to make it new, in order to make people and give them a reason why they should buy your line, right? I'm much more willing to buy a swimwear brand if I know that the fabric is made from recycled plastic water bottles. It's just easier. It just makes me feel better, right? So think about it. There's so many things out there right now. Do some research and think about what you could do as far as wearables and textiles. Okay, and number 5, which Kristen already kind of mentioned. Kristen, you are super A student right now. Body block, AI, tech tailoring, body scan, all of this type of technology is also growing. So 3D body scans are becoming the wave of the future. A lot of stores have started to incorporate this into their store. Even e-commerce platforms are developing apps that can do this type of thing right from the comfort of your home. And if you are a brand that cares about fit, which you should be, then you definitely want to start thinking about how to make fit better, which body scans can be one of the ways to do that. So Body Block AI is a particular brand. It's an e-commerce plugin, and it literally does two things. It predicts your body shape, and then it gets that data of the consumer's body shape back to the brand, which can be used for a plethora of different things, right? There's also things like virtual dressing rooms. That's becoming the future of e-commerce. Smart mirrors. When you walk into a dressing room, it's going to help detect your size and tell you what size clothing you need to get, or display on the screen other clothing options that you could wear and pair with the ones that you've already purchased, or the ones you're already trying on, I should say. There's so many things going on right now in the body scan space. Even Body Labs, if you guys know of that company, they were acquired by Amazon. Not too bad if you're acquired by Amazon. They probably bought you for a good reason. They utilize an avatar that is developed through their iPhone app, and it basically takes a picture of you and basic measurements to help determine your size measurements. So obviously if Amazon acquired them, they probably saw them as a threat, or probably saw that there was a huge opportunity for growth, and that's why they did it, right? So I think there is a lot of space, a lot of area for growth in the whole body scan technology moving forward. And then the last way that changes kind of how our fashion is being made, or I should say the future of fashion, is digital pattern databases. So this one I find really interesting. I think there's going to be a return to the roots of home sewing, but in a digital way, right? So instead of our old school like Butterick and Vogue patterns, right, that our moms used to use to sew, it's now going to be cool for you to design something and print out your own pattern at home and make it. And so there's a company called digitalpatternlibrary.com where you can literally upload a pattern or create a pattern, digitize it, and download it at home on your home printer. So you no longer need a huge plotter. You no longer need some kind of crazy software to go with this, right? This is made for home sewers. And it can be great for the startup designer too, because maybe you want to figure out a way to be more sustainable and not overproduce things. And so you're just printing out patterns at home. You're just sewing a couple pieces here, a couple pieces there. You're changing the fabric, you're changing the color, right? To see what works before you really go into mass production. And so it's great because you can literally, like I said, download the pattern from home, print it out on your home printer, and then they even have tutorials that help you create the garments as well. So I do think that this whole digital pattern, home sewing, idea or concept is going to come back, and a lot of people are going to return to this. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. If you think more people are going to sew from home if they're able to print out their own patterns. It's a thought, right? And then last but not least, I do want to talk about the number one way fashion will be sold in the future. Can anyone take a guess? Can anyone take a guess? The number one way fashion will be sold in the future. All right, guys, I will give it to you because no one is guessing. Come on, you're not being fun. Okay, the number one way, in my opinion, fashion will be sold in the future is web video commerce, AKA virtual home shopping networks. So Sherry Henry, you're sort of correct when you say online, but I'm talking specifically about virtual home shopping networks on your social media platforms. So there's been a big blur, obviously, already with commerce, with social media, with entertainment, right? And if you think about the idea of HSN or QVC, right, and how they have been able to build their business, it's all through showing the product on TV, right? Having live models, making it entertaining, right? They tell jokes, they tell stories, they have different size models, all this stuff. It's like a show. It's like watching a show, right? Take that format, but now put it on social media, right? We all have live streaming. We're live streaming right now on Facebook and Instagram. All I have to do is try something on. Oh, look at this beautiful red scarf that's got this beautiful paisley print. Oh, don't you see the beautiful cobalt and the purple and the green prints that's within this scarf? Oh, don't you just love it? And it looks great with a brown sweater. And now I'm trying on clothing, literally telling you how great it is, and you can click in the link to buy it immediately. This is already happening, guys, in China. There are huge influencers in China that literally all they do is sit at home, try stuff on, show it to their fans, and their fans buy everything. It is crazy, and it's coming to the US. And I do truly think that if you can get in front of the whole live streaming shopping, you will be successful. People are already starting to do it on Instagram. It's only going to continue. So get on camera, don't be shy, try on your clothes, try on your clothing brand, and start selling it to your customers that way. It's this whole idea of see now, buy now, and it's the idea of taking that idea of the Home Shopping Network, or QVC, throwing it onto an Instagram platform or a social media platform, and it's only going to grow. So that's all I have for you guys tonight. I hope you enjoyed our topic of the future of fashion. I hope it's got those gears in your brain going, thinking about what you could possibly do with your fashion line. Couple of announcements. We have our Austin Fashion Manufacturing Tour coming up April 2nd. You can go to austinfashiontour.eventbrite.com to sign up for that. There are only a couple spots left, so definitely make sure you don't wait to sign up for that. Then our Miami Manufacturing Tour is coming May 31st. You can go to miamifashiontour.eventbrite.com. And we have our LA Manufacturing Tour June 20th. You can go to lafashiontour3.eventbrite.com to sign up for that. And in New York City, we will be posting shortly our retail wholesale showroom tour. It's a brand new tour that we're going to be doing. So if you're a boutique owner, you're looking for wholesalers. If you're a designer, you're looking for showrooms or a retail space that you can sell in, this is definitely going to be the tour for you. We are doing this tour in May, dates to be determined, so stay on the lookout for that. Next week, we are going to do an Instagram Live, no Facebook Live, only Instagram Live next week. We're gonna do an interview with Carmen Caserta. She is a fashion lawyer. I'm super excited to be interviewing her. We're gonna talk about FTC labeling requirements, things like social media ad laws, things like sustainability. So if you have any questions for her, start typing them in. You can use hashtag AskFaw, ask F-A-W, and we'll answer your questions. We always get a lot of questions for these interviews, so definitely put your questions in ahead of time so that we don't miss out on your questions. So if you're wondering, can I put Made in the USA? Do I have to put hashtag ad? All that stuff. Can I put, eco-friendly fashion line? All of that great stuff. We're gonna talk about all of that next week's live. And then last but not least, we're thinking of changing the time for these Facebook and Instagram lives. So if you would rather have us do them at 8 p.m. Eastern, which would be 5 p.m. Pacific, or 9 p.m. Eastern, which would be 6 p.m. Pacific, let us know in the comments below. I will possibly consider changing the time of these so that more people can get on and actually watch it live and interact with me. So hope you all enjoyed for tonight's live. Thank you so much for joining. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.